tonight, it's not all about you.
Thank you once again for coming to another CRARY event. We're so happy to see a great crowd and a lot of, I was going to say regulars, but more irregulars. People from all over. I've met people from Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and it's great to see new faces here. So thank you for coming all this distance for Steve's show. And I want to also announce that we have another show that opened, well, it's opening tonight. There's a closing reception for it at the end of the run of these two shows, and that's for Luis Alvarez Rohr. He's in the next room, where his work is. He isn't here this evening. The artist that I want to introduce this evening is Steve Justice, who probably to many of you doesn't need an introduction, but for those of us who are new to him and his work, I'll just say a few things. Steve is living now in Rochester, New York, and he is deeply committed to enlightening and I would say being humorous too with his work, and educating, I'm sure, as well, because as you read the quotes, there's always some insight that he's giving into this combination of things that we call our world, and he's the subjects that he's bringing forth. He studied at the Carnegie Institute under Joseph C. Fitzpatrick, who was also a teacher for Andy Warhol, and he then studied industrial design at the University of Cincinnati, after which he was employed for many years designing a variety of products, notably consumer glassware for FTD and Coca-Cola. You wrote Coke, but I think you meant Coca-Cola. Fact check. And partway into his design career, he was drawn back to the practice of fine art and began producing these large satirical oil portraits that you see around you. And we're so happy to have them here. And he's doing it full time now. And this is more than the 100th exhibition that he's been in. So welcome to our gallery.
Thank you for coming, and thank you, CRARY, for having me on this show. I'd like to start off by reading a poem. This one's called The Odyssey by Homer. Singing me muse and tell the story of... No, I can't. It sounds like I'm reading this, it's because I'm reading this, okay? And the teleprompter's broken. So hold your laughter until I'm finished. Butt in with questions, because I might not be saying what you're hearing, and you might not be hearing what I'm saying. So, don't hold your questions. I don't mind. It won't be rude. If you have a favorite painting, tell me what it is after the show, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. And a few comments about what you're looking at. Style-wise, I've always loved cartoons, as have most Americans. We've evolved to where we no longer look at cartoons as being effective realism or childish. We can thank Mad Magazine and Robert Crumb and Walt Disney for that. They're a part of our visual language, our vocabulary, and they get our attention. In my case, provide and conquer. A couple things about my paintings. Proportions. The proportions of my paintings. The golden mean proportion, if you've ever heard of that, is 1 to 0.618034, approximately. It's not as genetically ingrained or mystical or magical as everybody thinks. It's really just our viewing window, That's all it is. Beyond that's our peripheral. It's our viewing window, in spite of everything they tell you about it. In fact, you never see it vertical, right? If it's so magical, when it loses its magic, it was vertical. So they don't call it mean for nothing. Anyway, let's see. I prefer to use proportions that are more like a cultural mean, such as business card proportions. Baseball card, things we're used to seeing. The Clementi painting is a baseball card. That page it says the. Playing cards, letter-sized paper. You know, we've seen this our whole life. Movie screens, television, computer screens. These are the proportions that we're used to in our culture. You know, so, regardless of what they built the Parthenon using, you know, what do we know about that? I also use square formats, which are always forbidden in artwork. When we're little babies, it's the first shape we learn, squares and circles. And then, you know, as we outgrow that wonderful shapeless world we're in, you know, we got to grow up. So we grow out of misshapen things. Notice I don't use it in straight lines. You know, I used to. In my design work, I use a lot of straight lines, and now people say, boy, this is nice. I can't draw a straight line. Well, you know, I can't either. Color, likewise, I generally use my own cultural color palette. Traditional color wheel. It's a 6-pointed star, real neatly arranged, with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. But then where does indigo come in? We're always told there's supposed to be a 7th, indigo. Here's a joke. Why was the indigo bunting? Because the infield was playing deep. Wait,
show us the detail.
Bunting?
No.
Okay. My cultural color wheel includes Coca-Cola red, safety orange, school bus or taxi yellow, John Deere green. Look at the paintings around here. You see these. You know, because these colors grab at us. You know, Conrail blue, Prince purple, Throgan Barbie pink, Hershey brown, Cooley's presidency gray. I do mood and color research using interior and fashion magazines, which is cheaper than Color Marketing Group, and which they own anyway. But it's more objective than shooting from the hippie. See, composition. I think composition is more than arbitrarily arranging like furniture in a room or stuffed animals in a diorama. What I like to do is align the subject on right on the chakras, right down the center. See, you know, the chakras, energy, center energy, right on the center of the painting. I like to, if I can't do it, and some of these you'll see it's an eye, maybe the nose, maybe the mouth, always the heart. On most of these, you see the hearts on the center, sometimes dead center, you see. And then, you know, the painting grows out from there. I dropped my collector.
No.
But see, that way the painting can hold the subject. You know, hold the subject, and then I'm free to, you know, manipulate the limbs, break and bend the rules of symmetry, depth and perspective, and you know, just to suggest greater movement and make things more interesting. There are exceptions, you know, but that's generally how it goes. Creative process. Paintings are you know, illusions. I mean, this isn't really a lady Buddha, you know, and that's not really a corn planter. It's a painting. It's only 32nd of an inch thick, you know. It's an illusion, which makes me an illusionist, I guess. My input includes things seen, read, heard, remembered, just conjured up, with the output being what you see here. And in between is play. A lot of play, you know, which is, makes it all worthwhile. So, you know, creatively speaking, the opportunities are endless. There's no end to what I could do or what you could do. And it's, you know, available to everyone. So there's a seeker born every minute. But to paraphrase Paul McCartney on the subject of creativity, he always said he keeps the table set and this thing comes along. You know, this thing being the creativity. But he keeps the table set, which means that he, you know, creates the environment where he's ready. He's not caught on his heels or off balance or anything. So you gotta like give this thing, this creative energy, like no choice. You know, if you're ready for it, you give it no choice but the hand right here, and that's when it works. Let's see. And you know, the low fruit's already been picked. So keep moving. Oh, and if you're going to buy art, shop Warren first. Any questions? You with the striped shirt and
Do I have to get center?
in the
My heart?
heart.
I got a question for you though. I've known you for a long time, and I always thought you painted on canvas. What's with painting on wood now?
The smaller paintings, I've been painting on wood. As I drive around my neighborhood, sometimes I'll see interior doors out at the curb. So, you know, I'll take them and cut them to size and make sure the edges are all true and everything like that. Prime them, and then it's just like a painting, you know. That's the only reason. I find, you know, it doesn't have the same tactile feel. Like when I paint here, I can touch this, but you can't. It deflects a little bit. You know, when you're painting, you can feel that. You know, you have this cushion of paint that acts like a lubricant. You can feel the canvas give a little bit, and that's when it's really working well. You know, when you have the paint mix right and everything. Wood doesn't do that. It's smoother. You know, it's you're painting along and out of control. You know, that kind of thing. Okay, is that it for the questions? Oh. This phone in her hand.
Well, no, it's a camera. I've been photographing so I
Okay.
can Facebook it later. Okay, so listen, so obviously you have a lot of famous people in your paintings, right? So how do you choose which famous people to put in your paintings?
Again, you know, I do a lot of reading, history, nonfiction, creativity, philosophy along those lines, you know, and just people who just struck a chord, you know, creative kin, you know, or something like that. And you know, I don't want to do just a portrait, you know, portrait plus, you know. So that's not just a portrait of Emily Dickinson. It's a portrait of a creative woman in the 19th century who was locked in the attic, you know.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Things like that, you know. Just we can rewrite history, you know, because we have it distilled down. You only see her like in a book of like famous ladies, you know, and she gets like this much press. People don't understand her. Like,
Not at all.
you know, she wasn't as prudish and everything as people think. You know, you'll see that real slender with a black dress picture of her. No, she's like a living, breathing, you know, attractive person. You know.
Why does she have blonde hair?
Well, I thought, well, if she was here today, she would do the Gwen Stefani thing. You know what else? We wouldn't be locking her in the attic. We'd be pushing her on the stage, and then destroying her career. Anybody else?
Okay, I'll ask you another question. Okay, obviously, I've known you for a long time as well, and you know my favorite writer is Dorothy Parker. So
Yeah.
to see her over there just, I mean, makes my heart flutter.
Yeah.
Right? So why did you pick Dorothy Parker as one of your
Not sure.
favorites?
I always wanted to do a painting of her. She's really lends herself to that real well, you know, because she kind of looks like almost like a doll or something, you know. And she had a really acidic tongue, you know. She could like rip anybody a new one, you know.
I love her.
Oh yeah. And you know, she's another one. You know, she shouldn't be forgotten, you know. And she was just very, very tough. She was in all these salons of the day, you know, like the Algonquin Round Table with the Marx Brothers and Kaufman and Wolcott and all those guys, you know. Didn't have her own.
Steve,
Yes?
when we were hanging the other night, somebody brought up that the one side of Dorothy Parker isn't finished. Did you do that on purpose?
Which part?
Because you're going through it and it's white on the other side.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure to do the background, so I did like a snowscape on one side and a beachscape on the other.
Good one.
Yeah, good job.
That's interesting.
Yes?
Are there any historical personalities that you've tried to do and it just hasn't worked?
Some people are very, very hard to draw, you know. Virginia Woolf, easy. Marilyn Monroe, you know, always hard. Just because she's soft and comes off doughy. You know, 'cause like I say, these are kind of flat, you know. And she doesn't have the rainbows and everything like that. I mean, I'll keep trying. I do every night. No, but some people, it's just hard. You know? Stravinsky, easy. He looks like a basset hound. You know? Yes, you missed with a tie-dye ensemble.
That's the most artsy thing I have, so
Looking resplendent in a...
I was just wondering, being in the area, Warren and Marshburg and all that, what was your inspiration behind Corn Planter?
Oh, Corn Planter. Well, he's the landlord here. I've always admired the guy, you know, because he was always on the... He had a tough road ahead of him. He was always on the wrong side of Washington. French and Indian War, Revolutionary War, treaties after the war, you know, always on the wrong side of Washington. In the Seneca, they were like big and bad, you know. They were more powerful than the rest of the Iroquois League combined. And they had like the Western tribes and threats, their responsibility, you know. But, so he had this Western incursion into his land, and he had to save his people, you know. Hopefully win, but save his people as best he could. And eventually he just had to give it up and go and become a legitimate businessman, you know, which he did. And they faulted him for that. You know, you're supposed to fight to a finish, but no, he did what was best for his people.
What did he sell?
Lumber. He went into the lumber business around here. Yeah, but you know, I mean, the background is like Eastern Indian. So at the same time, I thought, well, let's have this collision of myths, you know, Western Indian and Eastern Indian, what happens?
Yeah.
Bang!
Yeah.
Well, you answered my question because it's my favorite of all your work.
Oh, really? Oh, thanks.
Tell you what's your favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, that's right.
Yes, am I correct? That's my
I don't know yet.
and you sort of
Let me think
answered
about
it, you know, because, you know, I know the name of it, but to me it also means Indian.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and what made you merge the two?
I'm not sure, just maybe the name, you know, they came here, we came here. Europeans came here and thought they were in India, so they became Indians.
What were they called before that?
The people. They called themselves the people. They all, every Indian tribe translated means the people.
Okay.
Pretty much. Anybody else?
Come on,
Okay.
somebody.
So I can read some more poetry?
Thank you.
One more question. Earlier you said you were an illusionist. Can you make yourself disappear?